Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, to me, was one of the lowest points in the FNaF franchise. I've grown out of that mindset now, and I think the game is fine, but I still find the game disappointing. What the trailers had shown off showed a completely different game, different visuals, a completely different narrative, and when the game came out and all of that was scrapped, it left a lot of fans, including myself, extremely underwhelmed. I thought Security Breach had a lot of potential. A fully scaled up location, bigger than anything we've seen in the franchise before, fully free roam. It could have been amazing, but unfortunately, it just missed that mark. The game's story was poorly structured and extremely confusing, and the lore was somehow more complicated than the lore that we had gotten in the past, which I didn't even think was possible. The characters were highly underutilized. Monty, Roxy, Chica, and Vanny. Oh. Vanny and Vanessa's character specifically hurts me the most. From what was shown off in the trailers as a really important character that played a massive role in the game, had only about 6 minutes of screen time. It was extremely disappointing, and I still don't know why that decision was made only a few months before the game actually released. The gameplay was also very frustrating. At some point, I felt like I was lost in the Pizzaplex due to its scale. I feel like if Security Breach had a little bit more of a linear experience, it would have been received better. The conclusion is, Security Breach was too big for its own good. The ambition consumed all the heart that was left in the game. Something that had so much potential was truly wasted. And I thought Security Breach had truly ruined my interpretation on this series. That was until Ruin. The DLC for Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach was announced in 2022, and I was baffled. I did not know what to think of it. After my experience with Security Breach, did I really want another game that connected itself to Security Breach? I was skeptical, but somewhat optimistic. It took a really long time before we got any updates or news on this DLC. All we had at the time was this poster, and we couldn't really make anything out from it. I mean, it was spooky, and it had Chica over there, but what could we interpret from this? Is it going to be scarier? Most likely. But will the Security Breach curse carry on and plague this game with a buggy launch and a disappointing narrative? I was skeptical, but I really wanted Steel to nail it with this one. I was hoping this could fix the mistakes that they made with Security Breach. And then, out of nowhere, the trailer came out. In the same week the FNaF movie teaser trailer came out, FNaF Ruin had gotten its first and only trailer, and I was no longer skeptical. I was very excited. Though Security Breach's base game trailers may have gotten us excited, they showed off way too much. To a point of where there was nothing exciting or new left in the game. We'd already seen everything from the trailers, so there was no real content from the game that we hadn't already seen. This trailer, on the other hand, was short, it was sweet, it was great, it had great set pieces to be shown off, and great music, which I hardly hear anybody talking about. The music in that trailer was especially great. The set pieces that were shown off were only just but a taste of what we would see in this DLC, which was great. Not too much was shown off, and there were surprises to be seen in the game. So, you could consider me excited for the DLC. Everyone was excited. Everyone I knew who was a part of the community was at least very excited for the game after this trailer came out. And then, the long plaguing waiting for Steelwool to drop a release date instead of Guess the Sketch. We all remember those dark ages. Until finally, July 25th, FNaF Ruin released. And it was peak. This is a video essay, my first video essay, of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin, and how it changes FNaF for the better, and how it moves modern FNaF in the perfect direction for an intriguing story. I was kind of nervous to make this video, and because I'm not really good at doing commentary and talking opinions about games, but I honestly don't care. I wanted to give it a try. And I thought maybe if this video does well, I can make more of these and try and get good at it, like some of my idols. Alright, well, let's get into it. The first thing we need to talk about is the atmosphere. What Ruin does well is definitely the atmosphere. The base atmosphere, what you usually play in, is just you going into the Pizzaplex and seeing it's destroyed, it's dark, it's cold, it's creepy. The sound design in this game is especially good, hearing some things in the background, loud bangs and twerks all over the place. It really it gets you in the mood to play a horror game. Whenever I turned on my flashlight, I couldn't really see what was in the distance, because the flashlight in this game wasn't very good. And I think that was an excellent choice to make this a more scary and thrilling experience. The Pizzaplex is now completely destroyed. There is hardly any color left in this once colorful mall. There was so much vibrance and color and just life in the Pizzaplex, and now it feels like it has all been drained away and just destroyed. It's a nice contrast. I really like it. And the second part of the atmosphere is the Vanny Mask. A brilliant mechanic, we will get into that later, but the atmosphere that the Vanny Mask brings is this glitchy world that makes no sense. The audio design for this is especially great. You hear the souls of the damned screaming children, audio from the base game, but it's all contorted and distorted and glitchy. It's really good. And the visuals are some of the coolest things I have seen in the series. I know I said that Sister Location went into way too much of a sci-fi vibe, and I wasn't really a fan of it, but honestly, forget what I said. I think FNaF is would be just boring if it stayed grounded in this realistic tone for the entire series. I'm glad they're taking a more sci-fi approach and just going out there. It just allows the series to pull new things that we've never seen before into reality. I personally think the atmosphere in this game is just some of the best, some of the scariest. Really, I don't think we've had this good atmosphere since like the first FNaF game and FNaF 4. It's truly amazing how Steelwool really nailed this creepy, dark, and abandoned building aesthetic so well after making something so colorful and vibrant where you couldn't even think that could turn remotely scary, but here we are. The gameplay in this game is actually quite fun. Like I said, one of the biggest issues I had with Security Breach was that it felt way too open. I had no idea where I was going at some points, and sometimes the tasks were kind of vague, and I really couldn't make my way around the Pizzaplex, and it was just very annoying to get through. With this game, it was much more linear and just straightforward, and I really did like that. And there's still cost for replayability with a linear game, by leaving around collectibles that you can still find even after you complete your first playthrough. The basic gameplay mechanics were also pretty fun too. The Vanny Mask was great. It gave us some amazing visuals and some cool but weird ways of getting around the Pizzaplex, like phasing through these not real objects that were physical in the real world but aren't physical in the virtual world. It's weird, I know, but it's kind of cool. It probably explains how Vanny might have gotten around the Pizzaplex so fast. With the Vanny Mask, we are supposed to deactivate the security system, which is what Gregory tells us to do. We have to deactivate the security system, deactivate child nodes, and nodes in themselves, which lead to some alright puzzles. They're not too crazy. And some of my favorite puzzles in the game were the wire puzzles. I know they're very basic, but they were kind of a fun thing to do, and in some of the sequences, they were really intense. Yeah, so those puzzles weren't that bad, I don't think. They were not the craziest thing I probably would have wanted better puzzles, but I'm not mad with what we got. The camera system in this game, which is very basic, but I prefer it 1,000 times more over the Faz Watch. The Faz Watch was very annoying. All you had to do with the Faz Watch was just watch an animatronic walk by, wait for the animatronic to go to this area, and then move, progress, hide and seek. It was boring. In this game, the cameras are very basic and they're not implemented that much, but I think they're executed way better. There's an intercom option where you are able to, well, lure an animatronic to a different location, which is so much better than having to wait in a hiding spot for 5 minutes and hoping Chica doesn't get stuck on a random object so you're able to progress into the next section of the game. In this, well, that's not a possibility. The cameras are also used to deactivate anomalies when you have the Vanny mask on in some sequences, which is normally used for unbarricading some areas and moving you on to the next section. It's basic stuff, but it works. It really does. And now we go to the characters, which also really applies to gameplay. We're talking about the main antagonist of the game, Mixies, the anomaly, the entity, whatever you want to call him. He is a security system programmed to keep the Mimic at bay, to keep him hidden, to keep him trapped away. And Gregory, spoiler alert, is the Mimic. I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious from the start of the game. Gregory in this game is in fact the Mimic, and Mixies is not really a villain. He is only programmed to do his job and keep Cassie from unleashing the Mimic. So, if you keep the Vanny mask on for way too long, Mixies will appear, and he will send a distress signal to any of the animatronics, which will come and kill you. It's a pretty basic mechanic, but this character is utilized so well in this game. He actually feels like a threat. He feels like a complete opposite from what Vanny was in Base Security Breach. He feels like a true antagonist. He feels like a real villain. The animatronics in this game, there are some sequences that don't revolve around Mixies coming in and spawning them in, but just the animatronics roaming around on their own, such as the Chica Bakery segment, Roxy in the Roxy Raceway segment, Monty in the Sewer segment. You get what I mean. All the animatronics, I think, were utilized well, Roxy especially being our ally in this game, kind of like how Freddy was in the base game, which I think really works well, due to how connected Cassie and her are. I thought the characters in this game were pretty good. Mixies being my personal favorite due to how much of a presence he really had in this game, Monty being a little goofball, okay? Chica being absolutely disgusting, and Roxy being such a heartfelt and just such a nice character. I really especially liked Eclipse for his little screen time he had, unfortunately. And the Mimic, too, who was also really cool. Now we delve into our final section of the video, the narrative, the story. And my final thoughts on why this is the perfect direction where FNaF can go. The story is basically you, Cassie, Gregory's old friend. Lore is not really clear, but supposedly Cassie had a birthday party. Nobody showed up. Gregory saw her crying because nobody showed up to her party, and they became friends because he was the only one there for her at her party, which is really sweet. Basically, Gregory sends out a distress call to Cassie, trying to lure her into the Pizzaplex, tells her to come to rescue him from the sinkhole in Roxy Raceway. Cassie has to force herself to survive through every encounter with all the animatronics. She goes through complete hell and eventually makes it to the sinkhole, and only finds out that Gregory was not Gregory, and was in fact the Mimic. What Cassie goes through in this game is a very nice and overarching story. It has a lot of sweet and heartfelt moments between Roxy and Cassie. The way the animatronics are defeated, supposedly, are nice. And the little secret Easter eggs with Glamrock, Bonnie, and Monty, there's just so many details in this that are completely overlooked. Glamrock Bonnie had some kind of presence in this game, because if you deactivate all of the mop bots, you can unlock a secret room which has Glamrock Bonnie's corpse in it, which is kind of dark. The canon ending of Security Breach is now confirmed to be the Princess Quest ending, which basically means Burn Trap doesn't exist. The Blob still exists. In fact, the reason why the Pizzaplex is in ruins right now is probably because of the Blob, because these newspapers right here say that the Pizzaplex collapsed due to an earthquake, and the Blob might have had something to do with that. We do see the Blob near the beginning of the game, but that's really all we get. But I think the Blob is being set up for something huge. There's not much story on how the Mimic works. I think personally the Mimic is supposed to be Burn Trap, except without the Springtrap and William Afton voodoo all over him. He is the villain. He is the one behind everything. He goes back to straight to Help Wanted. He is Glitch Trap. He is behind everything. The Mimic, this is the Mimic. He is kind of like the main villain of modern FNaF. He is very cool. I personally think this is a much better direction to go in than just have William Afton come back for the 100th time. Even meeting the Mimic in the game is so surreal. As predictable as the Gregory is the Mimic twist is, it's just so shocking to see the Mimic come at us, nearly attack us, and chase us at the very end of the game. It chases us into an elevator where Gregory, the real Gregory, kind of explains what's been going on, that the Mimic was taking us into the location when we weren't supposed to be there, and that Gregory has been trying to contact us all night with a few hidden Easter eggs that really signify that. And Gregory drops the elevator on us and sends us to our death. But I don't think we are dead, because we can hear Roxy's voice at the very end of the credits, which means Cassie might still be alive, and they might want to seek revenge on Gregory for what he did. And I don't blame them, honestly. It could be such a unique story to have Gregory, just everybody hate him. Roxy hates him. I'm pretty sure all the animatronics at the Pizzaplex hate Gregory. I'm pretty sure Cassie hates Gregory. I mean, if I was dropped like 60 feet on an elevator by Gregory, I'm pretty sure I would hate him too. So I feel like it could be an interesting dynamic to have almost everyone be against Gregory, and I don't know how they would work that in and what kind of dynamic it would make between all the characters, but it certainly would be interesting nonetheless. There is an ending in the game that is pretty secret, kind of difficult to get. You basically have to go through most of the chapters, scroll out on specific camera devices, and there should be a secret camera, and if you click on it, a door opens. I'm pretty sure there are 5 of these. I don't specifically know which chapters, but they open up these doors in the final chase segment. You basically replay chapter 9 after getting all those doors opened up, and the Mimic looks different. He has a mascot costume just like he does in the books. He wears a mascot costume. I don't know why, but it has to do something with the books, which I don't really bother to read, so you can explain that in the comments. Okay, but we are sort of going off topic now. The story was pretty good. The narrative was straightforward and easy to understand. The endings were sort of abrupt, but they leave the door open for many cool concepts, really. I don't know what's gonna happen in Help Wanted 2 or any other future FNaF games, but with the story that Ruin leaves open, it really leads us to some great things that FNaF can embrace. And to the title of the video, and to my whole point to this video, FNaF Ruin leads the franchise, this whole series, into a perfect direction for the franchise, for the games to keep moving steady and keep being as good as they are. By having this dark and scary theme, while having these crazy, out-of-the-world sci-fi elements that can always introduce something new to the series. We can always have something unique. We can always have something scary. That's what Ruin proves. We can always have a scary, but so out there, such a goofy, such a silly, campy Five Nights at Freddy's game that can still be impactful and scary, and just feel like a FNaF game. And that is my critical and personal analysis on FNaF Ruin. Now, I know, this video probably wasn't the greatest, probably not postra tier or anything like that, but it was my first video essay. It took a little bit to write. It took a lot of takes too. I really hope you all enjoy. I hope to anyone who watched this enjoyed this video. If this video does well, maybe I can hopefully get better at this and, well, try and pursue it, I guess. I did enjoy making this video. I really did enjoy talking about Ruin, because to me, Ruin is just a really good game, and I really do like where it takes the series. It takes it somewhere it hasn't ever been, which is what I love it for. So I thank all of you for watching this, kind of rushed, but thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all liked it. Thank you. Have a nice day.